review, and complete house cleaning to identify and fix the FBI's problems, whether they be managers, agents, procedures, policies, and/or inadequate laws. Excuse me. Sorry about that. In my opinion, there are a combination of reasons why the FBI has failed to maintain the public trust. These include the lack of quality managers, the lack of program goals and objectives, the lack of modern computer technology, the failure to modernize investigative objectives, the agency is overwhelmed with too many investigative violations, a lack of independent oversight of the agency, and by that I mean incompetent managers are not held accountable for their mistakes. There are serious intelligence versus criminal investigative conflicts which have contributed to the preventable deaths of American citizens. The FBI's duplication of investigative jurisdiction of other federal law enforcement agencies such as the DEA and the ATF. As an 11-year veteran of the FBI, it is my opinion that the management of the FBI is incapable of resolving these issues on its own. Any cosmetic attempt by the FBI to fix itself is not realistic in my opinion. Little would actually change, mainly due to the mentality of the poor FBI leadership. And again, this was written before Director Mueller became the director. Therefore, in the interest of America's national and economic security, I believe President Bush and Congress should work together to implement a task force made up of experts from outside the FBI to conduct a top-to-bottom review of the FBI's hiring procedures, investigative procedures, outdated or unnecessary investigative violations, information technology, records management, and overall organizational structure in the FBI's mission. And many of these have been addressed since this was drafted. The task force should include experts, in my opinion, from state and local law enforcement offices, computer technology experts, management information specialists, and the state and federal prosecutors. I believe anyone who is affected by or relies upon the FBI should be involved in this critical and necessary restructuring of the FBI. The information collected by the FBI should be utilized to effectively protect American citizens and the national and economic security of America. I believe a significant portion of the criminal activity investigated by the FBI is linked directly to the sale or the use of illegal drugs. The FBI has even established drug squads throughout the country to investigate drug-related matters. However, in my opinion, there is a separate federal agency, the Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, which already exists. Therefore, I believe such a task force investigating the FBI for restructuring should seriously consider consolidating the DEA into the FBI. More importantly, the task force must seriously consider removing the terrorism investigative matters from the hands of the FBI. For reasons of consistency, reliability, and national security, these responsibilities should be assigned to a new federal anti-terrorism agency. Simply switch the terrorism responsibilities of the FBI with the drug enforcement responsibilities. Knowing what I know, and again, this was written 91 days before the attack, knowing what I know, I can confidently say that until the investigative responsibilities for terrorism are removed from the FBI, I will not feel safe. The FBI has proven for the past decade it cannot identify and prevent acts of terrorism against the United States and its citizens at home and abroad. Even worse, there is virtually no effort on the part of the FBI's International Terrorism Unit to neutralize known and suspected terrorists residing within the United States. Unfortunately, more terrorist attacks against American interests coupled with the loss of American lives will have to occur before those in power give this matter the urgent attention it deserves. Realizing more American lives are going to be needlessly lost, no one should expect me to consciously sit idly by and pretend to forget the things I know. By sharing what I know, the terrorism problems plaguing America may be corrected. Knowing what I know, I truly believe I would be derelict in my duty as an American if I did not do my best to bring the FBI's dereliction of duty to the attention of others. Therefore, in an effort to prevent more deadly terrorist attacks against American interests at home and abroad, I have made it my mission, with the legal assistance of Attorney David Shippers, to legally expose the problems of the FBI to the President of the United States, to the United States Congress, and to the American people. The main objective of the manuscript, there's going to be people who are going to say that this is for profit, and that's just not the case. It was to be made available to Congress, so changes could be made. And the manuscript outlines in very specific detail what I believe allowed September 11th to happen. Yes, and it was written before September 11th, except for the last 3 pages. So, and I don't know if Congress is aware of it, if the Bureau has made Congress aware of it or not. That's part of the purpose of today's press conference, so that they are well aware of it. I believe they need to review this. Whoever's in the investigative arm does need to review this document, in my opinion. To the families and victims, of September 11th, on behalf of John Vincent, Barry Carmody, and myself, we're sorry.
The reference to John Vincent and Barry Carmody are references to other FBI agents who want to come forward to tell the truth. I'm going to introduce you in a few minutes to Tom Fitton, formerly our president, who's going to read a sworn affidavit by Barry Carmody dealing with one aspect of this whole sordid affair and how the FBI failed to do its job. I want to point out that under FBI regulations, after Judicial Watch and Dave Shippers requested clearance, the Special Agent Wright could talk to the American people. And you can see that he was trying to make the change inside the FBI before 9/11 happened. The FBI had this information. The Attorney General most likely had this information, John Ashcroft. But they wouldn't even give him clearance, and they had 30 days to give him clearance. That's the regulation. Instead of giving him clearance, they jerked him around. And they continue to do more than jerk him around by threatening him with criminal prosecution for coming forward. I now turn it over to Tom Fitton, who's going to read you the sworn statement of Barry Carmody. There will be more FBI agents coming forward, and they'll be doing it in short order because they represent the American people before they represent bureaucratic hacks in Washington, D.C.
Good morning. My name is Tom Fitton. I'm president of Judicial Watch. Before I read Mr. Carmody's declaration, I'd like to read an excerpted portion of a sworn statement made by our client, Mr. Wright, that was released to Mr. Wright under the Freedom of Information Act. It's a public document. It was approved for release with some excisions by the Department of Justice and the FBI. In April of 1999, Special Agent, the name is blanked, had telephoned and advised me that a friend of his worked as an accountant for a company upon which I had served the company president and vice president with federal grand jury subpoenas. He also advised me that the accountant was concerned about harming his application he had submitted to the FBI to become a translator. Through the course of my investigation, it had been determined that this company had received financing from, and then it is blanked, and United States designated Hamas terrorist blank. Each of the aforementioned are Muslim. A few weeks later, I received another telephone call from the special agent. He advised me that he had been telephoned by the accountant who stated that the president of the company was aware of his relationship with this agent. The president inquired if the accountant could arrange a meeting between the special agent and the company president regarding the Chicago investigation. The accountant then mentioned his concern to Special Agent Blank that the funds the accountant was transferring overseas on behalf of the company may have been used to finance the embassy bombings of Africa. In addition, the accountant recounted unusual events following the receipt of the subpoenas. One of the events that was highly unusual to him involved a friend of his coming to the United States from a Middle Eastern country and secretly meeting with the company president and vice president. This special agent asked if I desired him to speak with the president of the company. I advised him that I desired him to have the meeting and to wear a concealed recording device or wire to record what transpired. I then went to the United States Attorney's Office and discussed this matter with them, and they agreed that the wire would be of great interest to their investigation, or our investigation. When I returned to the office, my supervisor summoned me to the office and advised me that this special agent was not going to wear the wire and that I should forget about it. Later, while at the United